So we're going to move now to the government shutdown, potential government shutdown. There are just 5 days until the government funding runs out, and Senate lawmakers are scrambling to get a deal together. Democrats will not release their version of the Senate omnibus bill today, as originally planned, while they continue negotiations with Republicans. Senate Appropriations Chair Senator Patrick Leahy said the two sides made significant progress over the weekend, but they will have to work faster to avoid a shutdown on Friday. Complicating matters is House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy's courting of right-wing votes in his quest to become Speaker. He's now pressuring Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell to walk away from the table until the new Congress in January. It's all about Kevin.
We're 28 days away from Republicans having the gavel. We would be stronger in every negotiation. So any Republican that's out there trying to work with them is wrong.
So that
why
includes
wouldn't you
Mitch
wait with the
McConnell?
hand
Does
that's
that
stronger?
include McConnell?
Yes. Why would you want to work on anything if we have the gavel inside Congress?
You just
we
won
have a
the
stronger.
House.
Yes. Wait till we're in charge.
Joining us now from Capitol Hill, NBC News senior national political reporter Sahil Kapoor. Sahil, what more can you tell us about the potential deal? I mean, how is it possible to hold off, as Kevin McCarthy wants to do?
It is certainly possible that they get a deal, Mika, but it is 4.5 days away from a government shutdown. They've been negotiating this for months, and they're still stuck on one particular point. The two parties are $26 billion apart on how much to spend. This is the old-fashioned disagreement that has led to government shutdowns in the past. This is not about some extraneous ideological demand like repealing the ACA. This is about how much money the government should spend. And specifically, the dispute is over the non-military portion of the budget. Democrats are demanding parity, evenness in spending on the Pentagon and spending on non-defense money. And Republicans say that that is not appropriate in this situation because Democrats passed a couple of reconciliation bills over the last 2 years. They argue that Democrats spent a lot of money on non-defense funding, and as a result, they should break the so-called parity principle here. Democrats are reluctant to do that because it sets a precedent, as they saw early in the Obama years, where their non-defense priorities continue to get the hatchet again and again and again. So essentially where they are now is in the next couple of days, they're going to have to figure out whether they get a bigger deal and pass a stopgap funding bill, maybe kick it to next week, December 23rd, right before Christmas as a new deadline, or if they can't get a deal, Mika, they're going to have to kick it to next year, and that creates a whole new set of incentives because then it will be likely Kevin McCarthy and House Republicans in charge. They will be able to rip up these negotiations, everything they've done for the past months or so, and restart the negotiations on their terms. There is a desire, an eagerness to get this done on the part of some Senate Republicans. That includes Richard Shelby, the top appropriator who's retiring, wants to go out with a bigger deal. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell as well has encouraged these negotiations. But as you played there, Kevin McCarthy is really complicating the internal politics for Republicans, making it difficult by arguing, just wait, walk away from the table now. Republicans will be in charge and we'll be able to reset the negotiations entirely soon. Here's one wild fact, guys. The U.S. government is still operating on Trump-era budget numbers. It's 2 years into the Biden presidency. They've still never passed a budget and been able to fund the government on those terms. They've been running on autopilot, and if they fail this time around, who's to say if they get another one in divided government for the next 2 years?
Hey, Sahil, it's Jonathan. We've only got about 3 weeks left of this lame duck session, keeping the government open, probably the number one item on the to-do list. But there's plenty more, including reform to the Electoral Count Act. We heard so much about this in the wake of January 6th. There seemed like there was some momentum, particularly on the Senate side. But where do things stand? Is a deal going to get done before Republicans take control of the House?
It's an important question, Jonathan, and I'm glad you asked that because I spent late last week trying to figure out this exact question. I asked it to Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, who said simply the first job is to get an omnibus. What did he mean by that? Well, I spoke to Senator Amy Klobuchar, who's the chair of the committee who's shepherding this elections bill, and she told me they're considering it attaching the election bill to a government funding bill, to an omnibus package, for the simple reason that it takes about a week to pass anything in the Senate without consent. They really don't have a lot of time here, so they see this government funding bill as the last train leaving the station. They want to attach an elections bill. But of course, first they need to get a deal. Now, Klobuchar is insistent that she will slow everything else down if it needs to be done in order to get this election bill through, because as you rightly point out, this is their last window. The next couple of weeks before Republicans take control of the House, they need to get this through, or there's no indication that a Republican-controlled House will be willing to get this through. Remember, we are talking about overhauling the 1887 Electoral Count Act to raise the bar for objections to the threshold for trying to overturn electoral votes, make it hard for future presidential candidates to steal elections. This bill has overwhelming bipartisan support, but they're really running out of time here, and they need to figure out how to get this through in the remaining days left.
All right, NBC's Sahil Kapoor, thank you so much for your reporting.